Hello everyone. In this example we're going to be identifying angle pairs. Remember, these are pairs of angles, so it's only two at a time. We're going to start off by identifying linear pairs. Linear pairs are two angles that add up to 180, and if we look carefully here, we can take this angle right here, angle 1, and if we look at angle 4, those two angles together equal 180. So that's one example. And the other example would be angle 4. And then if we go back, angle 5, those two angles there also add up to 180. So my answer to the first part of this question would be angle 1 and angle 4. And the second part would be angle 4 and angle 5. So this answers identifying all the linear pairs. Now we want to look at vertical angles. So if we look at vertical angles are angles that are equal to each other and they're directly across from each other. If I look at this line right here and this line right here, we know that this angle and this angle are equal. So for part 2 of this, these were the linear pairs. And now we're looking at vertical angles. As I said before, angle 1 and angle 5 end up being vertical angles. And that's pretty much, I think, it. Those are the only two that are equal, because the ones that are across from each other here don't work. So let's take a look at what they say. So for vertical angles, 1 and 5 are the only ones. And for linear pairs, again, for vertical angles, you look for intersecting lines like I did with the 1 and 5. And for linear pairs, we look for adjacent angles whose non-common sides are opposite rays. In other words, just two angles that add up to 180. So we have 1 and 4 and 4 and 5. Now for this next problem, it says two angles form a linear pair. We kind of want to draw what's going on here. So we're going to look at two lines that form a linear pair. Let me fix that one more time, sorry. Alright, so I'm going to draw opposite rays. And then I want one to be 5 times what the other one is. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Just go ahead and draw something like this. If we look at this carefully, one way to think of this is just think about what kinds of numbers would plug in. Let's say the first angle was 5. The second angle would be 5 times 5, or 25. If the first angle was 10, the second angle would be 50. So what we're doing each time is we're finding the first one, and then for the second one, the bigger one, we're multiplying by 5. Therefore, what we want to do is draw a picture where, let's say this is x. This would be 5 times what that angle would be, or 5x. Now, we want to know what the measure of each angle is. The first part of this, we know that if we add these two angles together, it should equal how much? Since it's a linear pair, we know it equals 180. So we say 5x and x gives us 6x, and that equals 180. Dividing both sides by 6, we get x is equal to 30. That is not our answer. They say find the measure of each angle. So we have two answers here. The first one is what x is. X is 30. And the second one is 5x. Now 5x is 5 times 30, or 150. If we look carefully, we can see that 30 plus 150 is equal to, we don't know, but is it equal to 180? In this case, yes it is. Therefore, we made our check and everything is okay. So again, draw a picture, label it appropriately, okay? And then we write an equation, simplify, and solve. And then we figure out what x and 5x are. So the first one was 30, the second one was 150. All right, now we're going to look at angles that form a linear pair and angles that form vertical angles. Let's start with linear pair. If we look, I'm going to start with 1 and 2. Remember, it has to be adjacent angles that form a line. So 1 and 2 don't form a line. 2 and 3 don't form a line. 3 and 4 don't form a line. 4 and 5 don't form a line. Or another way of saying it is two angles that add up to 180. So 5 and 6 don't form a line. They're not equal to 180. So we would say, do any of the number angles form a linear pair? We would say none. Or even better, let's erase this. No pairs of angles form a linear pair. Oops. But if we go over this, which angles are vertical angles? There's quite a few here. Again, what we want to do is we want to look at this line and this line, for example. We want the ones that are directly across from each other. So what's directly across 1? 4 is across 1. So we can say angle 1 and angle 4, and then we can move to the next two. Let's take a look at this line and this line. If we look carefully, directly across from 2 is 5. So we can say angle 2 and angle 5. And we'll erase again. And I think we have 2 more. Drawing a line here and here, we can see that angle 3 and angle 6 will also be equal to each other. So we can say angle 3 and angle 6. Okay? Now, why are there no linear pairs? We would say because no adjacent angles are supplementary. That's a good way to explain it. I like that. Just made that up. So adjacent angles have to be supplementary. These two angles don't add up to 180, therefore no good. Now, why are these vertical angles? We would say because intersecting lines form congruent angles. I kind of making this up, but you can use your own words. Across from each other. Okay? Not as happy with that reason as the first one, but it's okay. Pretty close. So let's see what they say. No adjacent angles have their non-common sides as opposite rays. That's a little technical. But for this one, I think I like this a little bit better. These pairs of angles have sides that form two pairs of opposite rays. Oh, I don't like that either. Okay. We move on anyways. This is the last problem I'm going to do for this section, and I need you to take notes on this. Make sure you write this down. In order to do a problem like this, the easiest way to do it is to name certain things. I'm going to call X an angle. Now watch what I do. If I'm talking about the complement of an angle, best way to describe this is that this angle and this complement will equal 90. Therefore, if this is 30, this one should be 60. If this is 20, this one down here should be 70. So how are we getting this one? If this one's 20, I do 90 minus 20 to get 70 here. So if it's x, this is going to be 90 minus x. And even though we're not going to use this in this problem, I'm going to write this down just so that you have it if we're talking about the supplement of an angle. This, in this case, using the same strategy, this will be 180 minus x. Okay? Now, what we do is take this sentence and break it up into its parts. The measure of an angle, if they say that, I can rewrite that as x. The word is usually means equals. Now, it says twice the measure of its complement. So it's twice, which is 2 times, and then the measure of its complement is written right here. So this would be 2 times 90 minus x. There are other ways to do it, but I think this is really the easiest way to do it because you can sort of put those pieces together and put them in and then solve. We want to find the measure of both angles, so we want to find this angle and this angle. So we're going to start off finding x. I'm going to start by multiplying this out. We get x equals 180 minus 2x. I'm going to add 2x to both sides. If I do that, I get 3x is equal to 180. And dividing both sides by 3, I get x is equal to 60. Okay? So the first angle, if I go back up to the top, the first angle is 60. X is equal to 60. To find the second angle, 90 minus x, which is the complement, I do 90 minus 60. So that gives me 30. So the two angles are 30 degrees and 60 degrees, where one of these angles is twice the measure of the complement. So this angle is twice what this complement is. Okay? And that's it. That's all we have for this one. There we go, 60 and 30. Thank you much.